Hello everyone, I'm ImKibitz and welcome back to Satisfactory. Where last time we went on a huge world tour collecting up a ton of hard drives, along with every other shiny we could get our hands on. With all these hard drives and all of the alien tech kind of dealt with for now, we're gonna go about scanning and getting every alternate recipe, and then we're gonna focus on building our main base here, so it's less of a amalgamation of platforms and just a little bit more useful. Specifically, I want to get like a main hub storage room area built. Once we have that, we can design the rest of the base around it. And quick little update while we get set up here. I was off in Sweden last week, getting a tour of the Coffee Stain Studios office. And you better believe I'll make a vlog about that and upload it to Patreon soon.tm. But I'm back now and just getting over a bit of a cold. Everything's returning back to normal. Now then, what do you guys think of the view? I want my main hub area to have a nice view of our factories, be a little bit higher up so we can see what's going on. And I feel like this is pretty good. Yeah. And more good news, but mods have been updated for Satisfactory 1.0. So now we have Sky UI installed. This allows me to pause time. So in the videos, it's not freaking disco. And also for my thumbnails, it's a lot easier for me. Yep, I'll be using this mod and another mod called Pack Utilities. They mostly just help me with content creation stuff. But if you want to take a look at everything that's available, look up Satisfactory Mod Manager and maybe join the Satisfactory Modding Discord if you have any questions about how to install and whatnot. Anyway, that's the news. Now for our project. We just want our hub built today. And one of the main features of the hub is going to be a storage room. Now, a lot of people are like, storage rooms are redundant. You don't need them anymore because you have the dimensional storage. And yeah, that's absolutely true. You do not need to have a storage room built anymore in the game. I just like to, because sometimes I want to pave a biome and 2,500 concrete ain't gonna cut it, chief. And if I'm storing some concrete in some central location, may as well store some other things I might need too. In fact, maybe you should jump in creative and see what I need. That'd be a good idea. So all right, let's figure out what we want. So we're always gonna be building with foundations, so concrete is gonna be #1 on the list for our storage room. We're also probably gonna be building giant belt highways. I'm not sure where, but we will. And that's gonna need some iron plates and iron rods. We'll add those to the list. One of the main reasons I'm being creative here is because I wanted to see future tech. Like conveyor belts Mark V use alclad aluminum sheets. Then the Mark VI belts need the trigons and what is that thing? Time crystals? Okay, yeah, if I make a blueprint for a belt highway, I'm gonna need lots of trigons and crystals there. And for the most part, that's how I'm gonna be going about picking what I need in my storage room. Like wherever I could imagine building a huge project, I wanna have a lot of the bulk items ready to use. Most of the things in the game though, we don't need to worry about too much. Like turbo motors? The dimensional depot will cover us there. Or supercomputers? Same deal. Alrighty, so after going up through a bunch of different items in the game, we're gonna have a storage room with boxes on both sides, and then this is my list. We're gonna have boxes with each of these items on the left, and then on the right, and on the beginning and end, we're gonna have sink boxes. So if I have extra garbage in my inventory, they can go into the pit. But as for how I chose these items, again, it's just stuff I'll mass build that maybe our dimensional depot can't handle. Like again, we're paving a biome, or we're building a blueprint, which is like 80 constructors, or a belt highway that goes halfway across the map. That kind of fun stuff. So maybe pause the video if you're gonna be building a storage room yourself and wanna do what I'm doing here. But again, with the dimensional depot, you're probably gonna be covered on everything except for concrete. I'd highly recommend a concrete bin somewhere. And with the plan made, booping back to reality here, where I'm trying to figure out a design. So in my last playthrough, I had the best design ever. It worked so well. I had a bunch of signs that are on angles like this. So if I was running from this direction, going this way, I could see what was in the bin here. Or if I was running from the other direction, see the angled sign, look in, perfect. But here's the thing, I can't just do the same design I used in my last playthrough. I gotta do something different, with a little bit more pizzazz. So I've been trying out a bunch of stuff, trying to add in some beams out through here, maybe adding in some walls above there, and I was trying to still do at least the angled sign idea because it is so good, but oh my gosh, I'm having a lot of trouble with it. Even if I try to put on like a little shine, like it kinda works, but even after fiddling with it a ton, what I end up with is this space in between here, which I really don't like. Not a fan, because I don't know what to do with it. That's why I had like an angled beam here where I thought we could have this all be an archway where there's beams going towards like the center and there's like a bunch of lights hanging down or something like that. But no, not really happening. Or maybe a small metal pillar, but I can't really nudge it into the right place. Except wait, you can. I learned something mission critical on a Twitch live stream from a viewer. You can press control and you can mini nudge. So without control, big nudge, hold control, mini nudge. So that's gonna help out considerably. It does not save us in this scenario though, unfortunately. This is kind of how designing kind of ends up being. It's like a lot of, what should we do? Well, one thing we could always do is switch between parts of the project. So I don't know what to do with the signs right now, so maybe we can look at the floor. The problem I'm seeing already with this whole room is it doesn't have a lot of depth. Like we're gonna have a flat wall here. I like this, and I wanna keep that. But then we have a flat floor, and then the ceiling, well, the ceiling doesn't matter as much. So let's see what we can do with the floor. Let's get rid of that. Try to make it glass because we have all the trucks going on down there. We'll probably add in more factory stuff at a later point, so that's maybe not the best idea. Instead, let's see if we can do some stuff with signs. You put down a sign, put it on a mission strength 3 and make it glossy, and get rid of all of the shenanigans going on here. So it's blank. You can color it whatever color you want, and it looks all like glowy if you do it right. There we go. Cool. Not super glowy in the middle of the day, but it will be glowy once this is all encased. Then we could also have a walkway going through the middle, like so. And then we can throw in some glass, and that covers up the sign. All right, I thought the sign would be visible. I was wrong. Okay, so not that glass floor, but this is definitely helping. But what about a flat glass roof? Oh, there's a tripping hazard. Not a fan of the tripping hazard. We can still see the light though. And having the glass there adds the depth, so I feel like we're on the right track. What if we did some shenanigans? Some clipping shenanigans. What if, got rid of that, kept the center catwalk, and then to add in some depth, we had ramps on the side here. We have one there, another there. Oh, hold up. Then glowy sign right beside. And then the last thing is we get the glass again. And there we go. That's pretty neat. Maybe. What if we made it like glossy and then paint it black? What I'm hoping is we can get a little bit of a reflection from the sign. Well, we get a reflection. Ooh, from this side it looks really cool. And wait a second, what if we made this like a shallower ramp? Oh my gosh, then we have the dream scenario. We get a little bit of depth because we can continue this going forward. We get a little bit of light, which is looking really nice, especially from the side angles here. And it makes the room just look a whole lot more interesting. It's still technically a pretty shallow design, like literally, but it has the illusion of having depth, and that's practically the whole battle, right? I suppose one other thing we could do though, is we could add in some ramps over here. So there's something more, like actual proper depth. And okay, that does help out a ton. Maybe we could keep that concrete, maybe we could make that like grip metal. Whoa, okay, grip metal's the answer. And I think I'm starting to see it all come together, at least for the floor. I still don't know what to do with the walls here, man. Ah, these signs. I think we gotta boop it. Oh, but wait, ma'am. Got anything cool to show us? Oh yeah, I've been at this for a while, so we got a lot available. And since I'm gonna be scanning like 23 different hard drives, it doesn't matter what we pick or what we try and keep in here. You know what I really want? Some freaking inventory slots, brother. Holy macaroni. Give me all of the inventory. Thank you. And then let's just look through a bunch in the library. Compacted coal steel, that's kind of neat. A circuit board that only takes oil products? Yes, please. That's gonna be fun. Going through the list here, there's not a whole lot I need. One thing I do want to use a lot more of though are these plastic recipes. There's a bunch of recipes that use oil byproducts to get a whole bunch of stuff done. And unlike previous playthroughs, I plan to use these a lot more. Copper alloy, copper plus iron for extra copper. Yes. That'll be super useful in the late game when we get the converters. But then biocoal, I just never want to see you again. Go away. And what else do we have? Oh, bolted frame. Last time I see you. Back to more oil byproduct stuff. We have cable that can use heavy oil residue to make a ton of extra cable, or we can use wire and a robar to make a ton of extra cable. This recipe is a lot easier to use, but this recipe scales a lot better. Using a variety of alternate recipes, you can turn 1 crude oil into 3 rubber, So you can go absolutely crazy with insulated cable, which will really help us when we want to automate a ton of wiring. We won't use this alternate, but wait, we can rescan. And that was pointless. Maybe I should have taken the original. Whoops. What do we have here now? Plastic smart plating? I don't think I'll ever make that again. Ooh, but this is actually one of the main recipes we needed. The recycled rubber recipe. I'll get more into this in the future episode where we do the crazy oil setup, but this is one of the mission criticals. In fact, that's probably the only recipe I really needed right now. That and an alternate heavy modular frame recipe. But again, we have so many hard drives that we're just gonna get everything. Oh, wait! Pure copper ingot too. Copper plus water. Water is free. It's everywhere. Yes, please. And last hard drive for now. What is this? Rubber concrete? Weird. Like crazy efficient. 100 limestone per 9 concrete? Interesting. I don't know if we'll use that, but we'll take a gander in the future. And now let's scan through the next 18 hard drives as I figure out what to do here. And wow, it took forever, but Kibs has been cooking, and we have our final design. So stuck with the floor, it was fantastic. And as for the walls, we're just putting like a little label right over there. It's not the best because when we're running through, we can't really see exactly what's in the bins. We have to like stare directly at it, but it works, it's flush, it looks nice, and we're keeping it. The main thing is I just wanted the storage room to look pretty good because again, we have the dimensional storage that will cover us for like 90% of our needs. Yeah, this glass down here helped a lot. Not only to add that depth, but it also adds the reflection of the lights up there, down there, and oof, big fan. Such a big fan, I even made a fancy main pathway blueprint. So this will be available on like the Discord and Patreon. We'll probably use it again later. Or on the next part of the project, because step 1 was the storage room. We still have lots I want to do. This is our main working area, so gathering items is only one part of it. The other part is moving our main hub over here, and then building a bunch of Hypertube launchers all over the place. And if we can, I'd love to have some priority power switches somewhere around here so we can control everything. Number 1 though is a hub room. We need a room where we can go to like other rooms, and we need to look really cool, because if I'm running through here, I want to be able to look down the hallway and see something neat at the end of it. And the coolest building in the game, of course, is the alien power augmenter. So we're gonna have one of these as the centerpiece. Now, how do we want to go about that? Well, like with our main power plant, I want this kind of in the floor a little bit. I don't want it to be standing too tall. I also don't want it to be flush. Like if you think of a courtyard with a fountain, this is the fountain, except it's a giant alien space laser. So sure, let's just build it there. How does that look? Oh yeah, very cool. This is the kind of storage room I'm looking for. All right, we're on the right track. This going forward though, probably continue this design and build more fancy floors all the way to here. And then could we build a staircase up to the machine? Oh yes, we can. And it's pretty much flush. That's really nice. But I'd prefer it was like a taller staircase. Or wait, we have the technology. We can just clip into the floor down here, have the staircase, and oh, there we go, bud. It's like a little mini staircase. Yeah, that's all we needed. And we got the view I wanted. All right, so now it's just finagling the rest of the room to be interesting, but not too interesting to take away from the centerpiece. Oh my gosh, this took forever, but I think I got it figured out. I built this wall back here that just has some lights going up, and it has a tiny bit of depth. This took a tremendous amount of work, much more than I actually expected, but it's everything I needed. Where it kind of just highlights the alien power augmenter. It has some depth, so if we're running around the room, it's not super boring, and it serves the purpose of leading into more rooms. And I did this by clipping a lot of stuff into other stuff. Like, oh my gosh, if you're building things, clipping is your best friend. And that nudging trick, where you can just hold control and like mini nudge, oh, the fine tuning is phenomenal. So that's kind of what I did back here, is I just nudged the door so that the middle part was in the middle of the platform, and then I hid the rest of the door inside of the pillar there. But because I'm as nitpicky as they get, one thing I really didn't want is to have like the door just go into the block there, like it's clipping into it. I felt that looked kind of strange. So I actually built another beam right there, so it's like the door is going into that. It's like a small detail, but it matters to me. And then there's more beams going up back here, so I could have that sign just indented a little bit. And it all works out to this really simple but clean design, which is really my style. Like, I love concrete and like brutalism because it's simple and purposeful. And although busier designs can look absolutely amazing, they usually take up so much time I get frustrated and don't like to work on them. In fact, this whole room here that I've now filled out took like 6 hours just to like figure out ideas and to get built, and oh my gosh, it looks amazing, but again, it just takes so much time. That's everything I wanted. I did some finer detailing as well, where I actually clipped a lot of the signs together, and that just makes it so the whole light system is nice and flush, and I feel like it looks a bit better. Looks like a proper like neon strip, and that continues up that way. That's very purposeful. And then just so the room wasn't just a square, it was a little bit more interesting, I added in an angled wall, which is really annoying. You can use like road barriers, and then you can build on top of the road barriers or like nudge them up here. Pretty much how I went around it. What's really annoying about doing angled stuff and a lot of these kinds of details is it's never gonna be perfectly flush, and you're gonna end up with nightmares all over the place. That's okay. We will hide these walls so no one will ever see them, and we don't need to worry about them ever again. Yeah, road barriers are a lifesaver in building, along with just pillars. One of the beautiful things about these pillars is you can do really fine building with them. So even with like the little mini nudge holding control, you can't get everything exactly where you want it. But by having a pillar and then putting down these platforms, you can get the perfect height or whatever you want there. And then you can start building on like road barriers, you can get crazy angles, and you can do everything you want. You know, that's again, good and bad. It gives you every option in the world to design as your heart desires. And then projects like this turn into 12-hour ordeals. So be careful. Or wait a second, I'm speaking too soon. I haven't even finished the ceiling of this room. Or for the storage room, oh boy. I have a couple ideas though. This shouldn't be too bad. Not bad at all. This is a design I actually came up with in my last playthrough, but I never found a good place to use it. Just a nice kind of checkered design. And then I have the lights hidden up above with some glass there. So it takes about an entire wall length. And it's kind of tricky to get the power in here. And at the end of the day, it looks really nice from below. A little bit of reflections, actually get some light in here, and it kind of fits with the theme. The main thing is it's not too distracting, but fits with the room really well. And then for the hub room, I went an entirely different direction where I built an infinity roof. So by having some glass, making the next layer above it pitch black, all you can really see is the reflections. And it makes it look like the designs continue up forever almost, depending on the angle. Got a little weird with the corners though, so I just threw in some normal roofs and clipped them together, and you know what? It works fine. And the room's so tall anyway that it doesn't really matter. Like, I'll be running around, going from room to room. I'm never really gonna be looking up all that much. Just gonna be trying to get to my destinations. Speaking of destinations, now we have the hub room and our storage room. What's next on the agenda? Well, we need that Hypertube room. I want that power control center, a portal room, because way later in the game you can build portals, so definitely want that. And then a hub zone area with the MAM. So still a lot on the to-do list, but the big thing is we have some stuff built, so we can actually just continue on with the designs we've been using, and it's not as hard. Like, the most overwhelming thing with playing this game, I think a lot of people feel the same way, it's just getting started, because it's so hard to pick a direction and just like commit to it. And then once you get going, you're all good. But since I spent so much time on the hub room, we're gonna do something kind of quick here. We're just gonna build the power control room. We're gonna build it here because there's a pit down there. I don't want to build any rooms over it. Like, in the future, I want to have a bunch of walkways running around and belts going all over the pit and make it kind of like a cool centerpiece. But for this room, let's just kind of hide all of the clipping nonsense that we've put together there. Because if we can't see it, it doesn't exist. And since we're planning on this being a cool centerpiece, neat looking area, it'd be really fun to actually look into it. So let's build a bunch of windows. And we can use the new honeycomb frame, which is really, really busy. Not typically my style, but this is gonna be such a small room. I think we can make it work. And so we can actually look down. Let's just get rid of this. There we go. We can zoom it down that way. Now we can look down through most of the pit. Probably never will look all the way down, but that's okay. We'll have enough space now for our power control switches. Main one being the priority power switch, which we'll just have front and center. Then down the line, we'll just scoot a couple of normal power switches for the main base here, just in case we run into any problems. Then we need a bit of a wall back there too. And one thing I really like are these new barriers they added into the game. I think they are very futuristic. I want to use them inside a lot of my factories. I'm just not a huge fan of like the little colored bar on the bottom, but I have a solution to that. And that is to use the high barrier, but then just nudge it. Oh, you can't nudge up and down. Okay, I wanted to nudge it up and down, but this works too. We're just gonna build it at this layer here. So then the busy part is on the side of the floor. And then when we're up here, it's just a cool little metal railing. Doesn't take away any attention. The busyness is all up in the window, and I feel that works out pretty well. But everything always looks better with giant neon lights. Oh, you better believe it, bud. Now the room is pretty much done. Not super crazy. You can look down, you can look around places, and hopefully we don't have to visit here too often. The rest of the room was more so just practical stuff, like putting in beams everywhere. I put down these power switches in very specific locations so that we can just look up and put the power nubs onto beams up here. So we can go to this layer and then maybe like build a power pole up here just to get power lines out of the way. Or maybe for this, we can build that all the way up to there, another beam, and then go to a different location. Yeah, just want to have plenty of options for bringing wires around and cables and whatnot. And because the beams are placed there and the power switches are there, the power cables just go straight up and down. And en masse, that's gonna look really, really nice, instead of power cables going like left, right, and center. As for the main power line, that's just hidden behind here. We had that room on the side of the barriers. So our main switch will just continue down this way, goes to every other switch. And now power switches like this one can control like the Hypertube room or a part of the factory or whatever else. We can do anything and everything because we have so many options. And again, really the only thing we need is the main base priority switch. That is mission critical and can help us get a lot more structure for the rest of the base here. Because right now, I just have a bunch of like power towers scooting off all over the place and it looks hideous. So I want to make a main power shaft connected to that main priority switch there. So we're gonna bring the power out this way, and then we're gonna make a giant power shaft for all of the different power lines. Probably like right here or something. Yeah, we want this power shaft to go all the way to the ground, and I think this dodges the refineries there. At least it's pretty close, probably close enough, right? Yeah, sure. Yeah, it was not fine, and now we have a bit of a dent in the power shaft, but it adds character, right? It's fun. Look at how quirky the factory is, okay? That's what we're gonna tell ourselves. Main thing is, look, we got rid of all of the different power towers all throughout, and we have a main power line going through this entire thing, and we can drag power out to every single floor from it. So it adds a little bit more detail into these emptier spaces where we just have power lines going across. Soon we're gonna have a bunch of belts going across too. We're gonna decorate, and we have some structure mainly to build off of, which is what this entire base has been severely lacking. And look, it absolutely still is, but we have something now to work off of. That's half the battle. It's not just some floating blocks and a random bunch of bins up in the air here. And as the base develops, we have plenty of room in this shaft to add in all of the extra power lines. So it won't be a problem at all. Probably need a couple signs to say what the heck is going on in most places, but hey, the space is what's the most important thing. In fact, we could probably even throw a hypertube on this, eh? Have hypertubes going up from floor to floor to floor. Ooh, that could be cool. First, we need a hypertube room. And you know, since we are now done with the power control center, we can get started on the hypertube hub as well. So where do we want the hypertube hub? Off to the left here, I want our main hub, because we have a really nice view of that waterfall there. And we have all the trucks moving and grooving. And with the hub, it has a rocket ship attached, so we need that to be outside. So this is gonna be the hub area, which means the Hypertube hub will be through this door. Oh boy though, so much work to do. But the nice thing is, the Hypertubes are a really nice detailer, so we don't need to focus on that all too much. And we can just add in our new fancy floor, and that's like half the battle. Maybe even more than half the battle. If we just extend the floor a little bit like this, that allows us to build the Hypertube entrances just far enough away from the main path that we don't get sucked in all the time. And those can just go into walls or honestly wherever. We can have a row of them over on the left and on the right. And one side could be for like inner base transport and the other can be for like outer base transport. And then for the rest of the room, well, we'll just do some kind of concrete design that matches with the rest of the base we have going here. In fact, we could just do something really, really simple, like get rid of all of those, then add in some depth by having half foundations just in there. Then the Hypertubes could go into those areas. We can boost up the wall and go somewhere. That's all we need, I think. Yeah, like it's really simple, but again, the Hypertubes add in the gold and the details, so we don't need to really worry about it. The only thing I needed to do was make sure that there's a lot of space underneath, because with the Hypertube entrances, there needs to be a power pole attached, right? And I don't like the power poles like sticking up beside them, it kind of looks weird. So I hid them a little bit underneath off to the side, and we're dealing with all of the power underneath down here. Then everything looks a little bit more flush. And to bring the idea home, I just added in the ceiling. It's the same kind of box design we used before, except I didn't turn on the lights because it looked a little weird. And at the end of the hall, a not so subtle sign. ImKibitz. That's me. This room is pretty much done. Super important was just these fences at the end, because if I'm coming back through these Hypertubes, I'm gonna have a lot of speed and I don't wanna just launch into another tube. That would be A, horrifying, and B, inconvenient. So we'll just launch into the fence and GG. I'll be honest, it's not my favorite room out of all the ones I've built though. I will probably come and revisit this and do something. I don't know. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. But it's pretty good. It fits with the rest of the designs we have going. And last but not least, we just need the hub room, which is gonna be over here. This is gonna be the worst of them though, because for the hub, it needs to be outside. But I don't know where outside of the base is gonna be. We don't have enough built. We have no exterior. So I think all we can really do for now is kind of pick a spot. Maybe just go out this way. We'll probably have some kind of walls going up like at that point. And we want a nice view of the waterfall, so sure, here might be as good a spot as any. Just build this out and plop the hub down, then leave the rest of the details to future Kibs, because I think that is gonna be all for now. There's a lot of exterior work that needs to be done here, and I've kind of run out of time. So last check mark of the day, and that's GG. So if you enjoyed, remember to leave a like and subscribe for more. But until next time, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and bye-bye.